Hey there, it's Lacey J, here to ask you to go to spacebearmedia.com right now to access all our content, buy yourself some merch, and most importantly, send us a message, a question, fan mail, even hate mail. We'll respond on YouTube. Also, please remember to rate and review the podcast on your favorite app or share it with someone you know who loves Lost. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. It's Lost in My 40s, Season 5, Episode 7. It's called The Life and Death of Jeremy Bentham, and it's a Locke episode, and it's a Derek episode. But first, how's everybody doing this week?
Great.
Fantastic.
All righty. Ben, could you please update us on the power rankings after episode 6? And please stop mentioning Aaron because I can't take it anymore.
Well, then I'll just skip third from the bottom and go straight to second from the bottom. So we have Frogert with negative 29 points. And at the bottom, we've got Charles Widmore standing firm with negative 32 points. At the top, we have Locke in third place with 29 points. Sawyer in second place with 37 points. And Dan Faraday in first place with 53 points. Literally no changes in the top three from the previous week.
Dan Faraday has been in first place this entire season. Right? From episode 1. He has held the top spot. All right, Dan, I guess that's yours to lose. Shall we explore the life and death of Jeremy Bentham? Derek?
Let's do it.
All right.
We shall. Okay, so we're on Hydra Island in 2007, and the episode opens in a dark office. The door creaks open, and a man sneaks into the room to inspect what's there. Moonlight illuminates through the blinds, showing him to be the same man who gave condolences to Jack and sat near Hurley on Flight 316.
So there's your question answered. I told you it would be quick this week.
So he flips on a light to find chemical bottles, glassware, textbooks, and a human anatomy chart on a desk. He finds a flashlight that works and takes it before leafing through a Life magazine from April 16th, 1954, on the cover of which is an exploding hydrogen bomb. He then breaks the lock on a cabinet and pulls out a file, and inside is a map to the Tempest that resembles the one used earlier by Charlotte and Faraday. Large swaths of land are marked unknown, and hieroglyphs are on the open ocean. Interesting. The next piece of paper examined shows a network of nodes, one marked Event A and another marked Event B. And there are lines linking the nodes labeled space, time, real time, imaginary space, and imaginary time.
Man,
wow.
that is some scientific shit right there.
That is some Dan Faraday type science.
That's like a moron's idea of what smart things look like.
Yeah, if you turn it over, it probably says flat Earth on it.
Yeah, right.
Imaginary Earth.
Thing.
It's probably Dr. Chang's stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, it probably actually is, right? Because this is an office and he was a boss. Although we're on Hydra Island and we have yet to see Dr. Chang on Hydra Island, I think. Right?
True.
As far as we know.
Yeah.
Yeah, not yet. Or, I mean, who knows? Any of those things, I guess, could have been filmed in Hydra Island, but yeah.
I suppose that's true. Yeah. I guess we just don't know for sure that his office would have been on Hydra Island.
Yeah.
So the drawings look slightly like what we've already seen in Daniel Faraday's notebook. The man looks up to see a sawed-off shotgun attached to the underside of a desk. He grabs it and finds it is fully loaded. He puts it in his bag just as a woman's voice says, Caesar. She enters, and it's the woman we saw escorting a handcuffed Saeed on Flight 316. Caesar says, Ilana, what's up? She wants to know if he found anything useful. He removes the flashlight from his bag, shines the light in her eyes, and then tosses it over, saying she can have it.
Oh, so
Alana,
he doesn't mention the shotgun though, does he?
Yeah, because she did ask, what did you, what's in your bag? And so he pulled out the flashlight instead of the shotgun.
Yeah, because she saw him, I guess, like at the last second putting the shotgun
something in the bag, yeah.
So that immediately makes me suspicious of Caesar. Like, why would you lie that you've got a gun? Yeah.
So Alana says, we found someone, a man. Roxanne was scouting just south of here, and he was just standing in the water. He's wearing a suit.
Uh-oh.
A suit?
Who's wearing a suit, guys?
Yep. Another guy wandering around the island in a suit.
What did you think, Derek? Did you think it was maybe Christian Shepherd, since he's the other guy walking around the island in a suit? Yeah, I think that was what they were trying to make you think. Yeah. So
moments later, Alana and Caesar trekked down a large gravel clearing at night, past the wreck of the very intact crash-landed Flight 316.
Yeah, man,
it's like it just like softly landed in the bushes.
Yeah, who was that pilot that landed that shit in the Hudson? What was his name?
Sully.
Sully.
That's
he must be Lapidus and Sully were on that flight.
Yeah, he was a co-pilot.
See, if Lapidus,
Sully learned everything he knew from Lapidus.
Absolutely.
Obviously. And if Lapidus had been on the original Oceanic Flight 815, they probably just would have calmly landed in the bushes, I guess.
Yep.
Ditching a jet is very difficult.
Yeah.
Especially in one piece.
Yeah, especially, when your wings are filled with fuel and stuff like that. It makes, and they're all made of like aluminum with like, that's just.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you see Alaska Airlines? Like they sent out a special message. Maybe
that
you didn't see it.
multiple Boeings have been found with that problem.
Yeah,
Boeing,
I got an email.
Boeing.
I got an email actually from Alaska Airlines because I have their miles card. I have their credit card, and that's why I fly free all over the damn place. But so I got special message from the CEO, like, hey, we're gonna not kill you, maybe. But apparently the guy's like, oh, so we checked the rest of our fleet and we found many loose bolts. Many. That's all they said. Many. Well, those are fixed now. Okay, great. But what
else is wrong?
Does that inspire confidence? That this one thing happened and you checked and there was all kinds of shit messed up? Because now I'm like, well, what else is messed up?
Remember the Max 8 was the plane that crashed. 2 of them crashed because of autopilot issues, computer issues.
Yeah.
And there was a Boeing 737 that was a Virgin Atlantic flight, and one of the passengers noticed missing fucking bolts on the wing.
Oh, yeah, there's 4 bolts. They said those weren't important, though.
What?
They literally said, yes. They did get everyone off the plane, but they said, those bolts were basically redundant.
What was it, like an IKEA plane and somebody had extra fucking parts?
You know what? I am pro redundancy when it comes to an airplane.
Most of them are triple and quadruple redundant nowadays.
You have to be like that. Yeah. Well, I flew this last week, and typically I would fly Alaska, but when I was booking my travel, I looked at it and it said the only things that were available in the times that I wanted were the 737. Max 9s or whatever. I was like Max 8s, and I was like, nope. So I ended up flying Delta instead.
I mean, I don't think my problem is really with Alaska so much as what in the fuck is going on with Boeing?
Yeah.
What?
And
they also had an issue with that plane, or no, I think it was the Dreamliner, where the battery, if it got too discharged, the plane would reboot.
Oh my God.
Yep.
Jesus.
Oh yeah, Boeing is.
God.
Airbus is a much better manufacturer. They're based in France, I believe.
Yeah.
I was at
at this point, I'd have to agree with you.
I was at the actual unveiling of the Dreamliner at Boeing because my ex-husband, my second husband, the lunatic alcoholic one, did he build planes? No, he painted them.
Oh,
that's what he did for a living. Not just planes. He used to paint the space shuttle too.
Oh wow!
Well, if they would hire somebody like him, then they would hire assholes to put the planes together too.
Actually, that's true because he went to work drunk every day.
Yeah,
but
maybe it's let me take this bolt. What will this do? But
he painted the original first Dreamliner, and so I got to go to the unveiling of it at Boeing in the big giant
hangar.
A hangar, thank you. I almost said warehouse. I'm like, that's not right. in the hangar with, I think it was the Japanese that bought the first one. And so they were like Japanese delegates and like it was this huge fancy thing. And I'm thinking about it now, all of the fanfare that like went in to this airplane that apparently doesn't work anyways. So, wow.
Yep.
Oh, that's fucked up. This is the shit. This is the shit that happens to corporations when it's profit, profit, profit. Profits have to go up. We need to get cut corners, cut corners, cut corners. And that is why this entire country and like the whole fucking world is falling apart right now.
Including planes.
Yeah, including
They're
planes.
literally falling apart. Yeah.
Exactly, Christy. Late stage capitalism. That is what is happening. Oh my God. It's time for a revolution, guys. Also,
okay,
the rest,
also
the rest of this episode.
It took us one paragraph to get to revolution.
Yes.
Oh my God.
We haven't even gotten to the title screen yet.
No, we haven't.
Nope.
So while walking, they have a conversation about the mystery man. Alana tells him nobody recognizes him and that he couldn't be one of the passengers who disappeared from the plane because he wasn't on it. So he did disappear.
Yes, that answers that too. Right. They just mentioned like they just disappeared. Yeah. So only, this is interesting because it was only Hurley, Jack, and Kate that disappeared, because in a minute we're going to learn about the outriggers that were taken, and I'm assuming who they're talking about is Sun, and that she did not disappear with them, which is interesting, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Huh.
So Caesar wants to know if the man said anything, and Ilana says, you can ask him yourself. The camera view changes to an aerial shot, and it appears that the plane is just to the side of a gravel clearing where it crash landed. Caesar and Ilana make it to the beach where about a dozen survivors sit around a roaring campfire. The ghost of Frogert can be heard weeping.
Why
Fire! He got a fire! Finally got fire! Sitting next to the fire is a figure draped in a blanket that is covering their head. Caesar kneels before the figure and says, hello. A male voice responds in kind, and Caesar introduces himself and asks the mystery man his name. The man removes the blanket from his head, and the fire illuminates his face. He says, my name is John Locke.
But you can call me Jesus.
And I've been sober for 14 days.
And now we make it to the lost title screen.
What did you think, Derek? What happened in that moment for you?
I don't know, but again, like when I was, Christian Shepherd wandering around after being in a box, figured if Locke can do it too.
Yeah. What is that about? Interesting.
Well, he is Jesus. He's resurrected.
Yeah.
So now it's now the morning of day 2 for the Ajira crew, and Locke stands alone on the beach with his feet in the waves. He's staring across the water at another island, the island. Ilana walks up, offers him a mango breakfast, and introduces herself. Locke says his name is John and asks about the 2 outrigger canoes pulled ashore. She says they were already here when they crashed, and they used to be 3, but the pilot and some woman took one in the middle of the night.
Right.
Okay,
so that's
the pilot is obviously Lapita.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the woman would be Sun, right? Because who else knows that you should go to the other island in order to do anything, right? I mean, Sun and Lapidus know each other. Why would he take off with anyone else?
True, yeah, because we know where the other woman is that knows, and she's, on the island.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Hey.
Now, of course, it could just be that we didn't see Sun pop out of the plane and to somewhere else on the island, but it just seems to me like, why would Lapidus take off with anyone else?
Right.
So it has to be her. Right?
Yep.
Christy looks like she's not buying it.
He found some woman that he's into, and he just went off on a midnight cruise. He's.
Oh, I mean, I mean, he's slick like that.
Romantic cruise.
It's like, you're about to go out and go on a date, Lapita style.
Ooh.
Yep, because we just crash landed a plane and survived a plane crash. So let's go on a date.
That's
What
right.
were you thinking, Christy?
I'm just not fully convinced that it was Sun, because we also don't know where Saeed is right now.
It's true.
That's
And
interesting.
in the dark, that hair,
He could look
be
like a woman
confused
with
for
that hair,
yeah.
All right. Christy's not convinced. I guess we'll have to wait and see.
So Locke wants to know if there's a passenger list from the plane, and then says this is the best mango he's ever eaten. Alana
I
says
mean, I guess
Caesar,
it would be after you were dead. Probably anything you eat is going to be the best thing
Yeah.
you've ever eaten. 'Cause,
No,
hey,
after you're
alive.
after you're dead, the only thing that tastes good is brains.
brains. So Alana says Caesar has the list, but nobody remembers Locke on the aircraft. Locke says, well, I don't remember being on it either. Alana wants to know what he does remember, and Locke says, I remember a lot. She wonders if he remembers why he's dressed in a suit. He says he doesn't remember, but can wager a guess that it's the suit they were going to bury him in. What?
Oh, what?
Want to tell me where a suit is if you're going to be buried?
Yeah, Alana's like, oh, I see. So you're a crazy person. Awesome.
Mhm.
Yeah, confused, Alana says, sorry. And Locke replies, you asked what I remembered. I remembered dying. A surprised and even more confused, Alana walks away while a smirking Locke tries to remember more.
Locke, if you wanted to fuck Alana, I think you probably just lost your opportunity with
Yeah.
with that little showing.
Yeah. She was considering it. He's a handsome fella. And then he says,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, this is a suit I was to be buried in.
Yeah, I'm actually dead. All right, so we get to the only flashback in the episode, and Locke is in the wheel chamber with Christian Shepherd, and we rewatch part of the scene from episode 5. The wheel is creaking, and a greenish light is pouring out around it. Christian says, good luck, John, and Locke grips the wheel. He lifts and pulls it back. The light engulfs the room, and the buzzing and humming can be heard. A surprised Locke turns to Christian and says, who says, say hello to my son? Locke says, who is your son? But before he can get an answer, the light and sound overtake everything. And he ends up in Tunisia 3 years after the Oceanic 6 left the island. So that must be like some kind of exit point for the island.
Indeed.
So Locke lies on the ground with his eyes closed and the white light fades away. He awakes with a start to find himself alone on the desert. He spits some grit out of his mouth and cries as he looks at his leg. Yeah, it's bad.
It is
That
nasty.
bone is oof.
Oh, how he even took a couple of steps to turn the stupid wheel with his leg like that.
I don't
That's
know.
a really good point because it would just like fold. And,
Right.
Yeah.
It would not have supported his body at all.
At all,
No.
no. He would have had to just hop, if anything, hop and drag his leg across the floor.
Jesus,
Oh,
yeah.
God, that's awful.
The bone is exposed and it looks gnarly. Just then, Locke looks up to see a pole topped by a security camera because there's always security cameras in the middle of the desert.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, that wasn't there before, was it?
No,
Looking
it was
out
not.
for sandworms.
Yep. A series of wooden poles carry the cord for power away into the open desert. Locke cries out, if anybody's there, can you help me? He's moaning in pain and nobody answers his call. So now it's
Speaking of
nighttime.
sandworms, I just saw the new preview for Dune Part 2. There's an extended preview out, and it shows Paul riding the worm, and it's fucking great. I'm
Yeah.
so
All I
excited.
can think about when I hear sandworms is graboids.
Graboids, exactly.
Yeah, hello. Not quite the same sandworms, but obviously Tremors is a fucking gem of a film.
It is a classic,
The original
yeah.
one, at
Absolutely.
least.
I love that movie.
One of like the best low budget movies ever made.
Fuck yeah. So good. Anywho, Dune Part 2 is coming out and it looks sick as shit.
Yeah.
Fine,
All right,
Derek.
so-
Keep going.
Well, it's a phone or something. All right,
What?
so it's now nighttime, and Locke is still in the same spot, alone and shivering. Suddenly, the sound of a vehicle approaching can be heard, and a pair of headlights can be seen in the distance. Locke is screaming, hey, 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 hey. And the truck stops just in front of him. 4 armed Bedouin men exit the truck, and one shouts in Arabic, this is him. They grab Locke, who is screaming in pain because they're not, caring about his leg, and put him in the truck before they drive off into the night.
I want to
It
point
looks
out
like each one of them grabbed like one of his appendages. So
Yeah,
that must
yeah.
have hurt like hell.
Seriously.
Yeah, seriously.
the guy with the leg is like, "Hey guys, I can't get this to work."
Let me bend it.
I also
that
want
happens in a moment.
to note, like when they drive up on him, they go unnecessarily close to him and hit the brakes.
Oh, yeah,
Like, for,
slam
Yeah,
on the
it's
brakes.
dumb.
Yeah.
for somebody who we find out they're supposed to save, they came really close to just crushing him.
It's not like sand you can stop on a dime.
Yeah, exactly.
It was just because the producers wanted us to think that that's how he was going to die.
Yeah.
Which would have been lame as shit. But
Yeah,
I know,
that's all right.
seriously.
Terrible death. It's now sunrise, and we're in a small hospital with 8 beds in one room. 3 of the turbaned men carry Locke through the door. Locke is moaning in pain and asking where he is as a doctor points to where he wants Locke. The men are speaking in Arabic the entire time, and one of them says, "This is the man I've been telling you about." They plop Locke on a bed. Plop Locke. Plop Locke. Plop Locke.
Plop, lop, lock, slop, lock.
Yeah. They plop him on a bed, and the doctor starts to examine his head and eyes. The doctor removes some pills from a cabinet and pours a glass of water because, they're going to take effect like within a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, I sort of the way I took it was like, oh, they're not a fancy enough hospital to even have injectables.
Yeah.
Oh, those beds look like they hadn't been cleaned in a long time.
Mhm.
Yeah.
The whole place didn't look like it's been cleaned in a long time. The doctor says in English, "You swallow." He goes, "No, I spit."
I'm more of a spitter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
No, I
Do
love
I
you.
really
gargle.
like the guy?
Yeah. So after he shoves the pills in his mouth, the Bedouin mask Arab, his leg is broken. Took him this long to figure that out. The doctor snaps, "Don't talk," and then hands off the water glass while he pushes Locke's jaw shut until he complies and swallows. I think that's what
He
they do
killed
to
him like a
animals
dog.
and stuff.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Why didn't he give the water to Locke to wash it down with?
Because he
Yeah.
killed him
Weird.
like a dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Off in the distance of the hospital, behind a sheer drape, Locke sees a silhouette of a tall, dark-skinned man, and it's none other than Matthew fucking Abaddon.
Hey,
Pop
he's
it up.
back.
It's amazing to me how many people in this show have the middle name fucking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he likes to pop up in medical facilities, too.
Yeah,
for
he
some
does.
reason.
He does, yeah.
So the doctor tells the men who brought Locke to hold him down. Locke is confused and struggling as the doctor shoves a big-ass wooden bit into his mouth. He says, "You bite. Bite."
Uh-oh.
"I'm not a biter." Locke screams are
Mhm.
muffled as the doctor drizzles an antiseptic on his leg wound, and the doctor moves to pull on Locke's leg, and this is going to be painful as fuck.
This is brutal.
Yeah.
Yep. Locke is shaking his head vigorously in protest, but he can't move. The sound of crunching bone can be heard over Locke's muffled
Ugh.
screams as the doctor sets the broken leg.
Ouch.
No.
Locke looks frantically at the doctor, then the Bedouins, then the nurse. They all turn blurry, and the last thing Locke hears before losing consciousness is words spoken in Arabic.
Ugh.
But this
whole
thing
scene.
before antiseptic, that's how you got operated on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That scene
Civil
is
War.
particularly for me because I have broken my foot and been through 3 surgeries from it, and it just brings back all of that pain when I watch.
Did the doctor set it that way? Put a
Broken
wooden thing in your
bone.
mouth and twist it?
No, that did not happen. There would be no way to set it because I shattered my heel bone into 7 pieces.
Wow.
It took 11 screws to put it back together.
When I broke my toe, and I know this is nothing in comparison to what you had happened to you, or of course to what Locke had happened.
Still
my
a broken
little toe-
bone.
I know, and my little toe was 90 degrees the wrong way.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And they didn't give me any pain medicine before they grabbed the toe and pulled it into place.
Ow.
Oh, that's fucked up.
Yeah, and I'm screaming, and she's like, "When we're done here, I'll get you some, I don't know what she said,
Extra strength
Percocets or something."
Tylenol.
Yeah,
No,
here, take 2.
This was a long time ago, so they were still giving out the good shit. So she's like, "Yeah, when we're done here, we'll give you some Percocets." And I'm like, "Fuck yeah!" Just
Yeah.
was in a lot of pain.
Yeah. Well, when I broke my foot and it was shattered, they wouldn't give me pain medication until even in the ER until the doctor saw me, but they sent in the radiologist with a mobile X-ray machine to, I guess it wasn't the radiologist probably, but the radiology tech to do the X-rays on the foot. And of course they had to keep manipulating it. Turn it this way, turn it that way, all of this stuff. And they had no idea how bad the break was at the time. But I was screaming, and I called the guy a sadist at least 3 times. And I
Probably
was just like
was.
absolutely screaming. And then they take those, and then eventually the doctor comes back with the radiographs, and he's like, "Wow, you really did a number on your foot. I've never seen a break this bad. Let me get you some pain medication." Meanwhile, I had been in the ER for like an hour already, and I was like, "Yeah, how about you do that?"
Oh God.
Oh my God.
Never seen a break this bad. Damn.
Yeah, I actually had 5 surgeons tell me it was impossible to break my foot that way, considering that I jumped onto grass. And I was like, well, I'm afraid you are unclear in what the word impossible means, because here I am.
There it is. I should have wrote it to put you in a medical journal. The impossible foot break.
Lacey was
Improbable.
like, "Here, hold my beer."
Something like that.
So it's nighttime again, and the desk lamp on Locke's bedside table is the only illumination showing a man sitting next to the bed. A familiar voice says, John, wake up. Locke opens his eyes to see his leg is in an elevated sling. The familiar voice continues, you had a compound fracture. The doctors here did their best, but I had a specialist flown in to reset your leg properly. As the man pours a glass of water, he is revealed to be Charles fucking Widmore.
Charles F. Widmore.
Esquire.
And can I just please say that Mr. Widmore was looking snazzy in his Indiana Jones getup?
He actually was, yeah.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
He didn't have the hat, but he was looking kind of good in that rough wear instead of seeing him in a suit.
He says, it's nice to see you again, John. And Locke is confused and asks if they know each other. Widmore laughs a little and says, yes, I understand you being confused. Imagine how I feel. I met you when I was 17, and now all these years later, here we are. You look exactly the same. My name is Charles Widmore. And Locke just goes,
Wow. What?
We have a wide-eyed Locke, and Widmore continues, tell me, John, how long has it been since we first met? Since you walked into our camp and spoke to Richard? Locke tells him 4 days, and Widmore finds that incredible.
I would too.
Yeah, no shit. Almost like someone breaking their foot in 11 places, or how many ever you
7.
did.
I shattered
7.
into 7 pieces. My heel bone.
Locke wonders if the camera in the desert was Widmore's and asks, how did you know I'd be there? Widmore says, well, that's the exit. I was afraid Benjamin might fool you into leaving the island, as he did with me. I was their leader. They're not the others to me. They're my people. We protected the island peacefully for more than 3 decades, but then I was exited by him, just as you were.
Exited?
Exited.
You mean exiled?
Exiled.
Okay. I'm saying the word exit.
I don't
I was
remember
exited.
that happening.
Yeah.
You don't remember what happening? Charles
Yeah,
Widmore getting exiled?
Yeah.
Because we haven't seen that yet.
No, we haven't.
All right.
Yeah.
Does he get an
This is the-
episode?
This is the first we hear that Widmore was their leader and that he was exiled by Ben. This is new information. Also, whoa, wait a second. Like, Widmore was the leader of the others and Ben kicked him off the island? Holy shit.
And they were protecting it? From
From
who
I don't
or
know.
what? Yeah.
I mean, I do know, but that's fine.
Locke insists he wasn't exiled, that he chose to leave. He chose to exit himself.
I was not exited.
Widmore says, why would you do that, John? You come to bring them back, the ones who left. Locke denies this, but Widmore calls his bluff and says, I understand you lying to me. I do, but there's something you should know. All your friends who left the island, they've been back 3 years. Wow. They've gone back to their normal lives, and none of them have spoken a word of truth about where they were. Widmore hands Locke a London Daily Tribune from January 14th, 2005, and the headline says, Oceanic 6, survivors receive hero's welcome. Locke insists, I have to bring them back, and Widmore surprises him by replying, and I'm going to do everything in my power to help you do that.
What?
Huh? Widmore helpful? As Widmore gets up to leave, Locke asks him why he wants to help, and Widmore leans into Locke and says, because there's a war coming, John. And if you're not back on the island when that happens, the wrong side is going to win.
Whoa.
Wrong side. Or.
Whoa.
So now Locke and Widmore are outside, and Widmore has given Locke his new identity, Jeremy Bentham. Widmore says he was a British philosopher. Your parents had a sense of humor when they named you, so why can't I?
Fun facts.
Pretty funny. No, it's not fun facts. We'll talk a little bit more about this at the end of the series when we talk about character names.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
He hands him an envelope and says, this should be enough money for now. The phone is international, and if you need to reach me for anything, just press 23. The folder
Alrighty.
contains your people's whereabouts, everyone that was on the island that left. I'm deeply invested in the future of the island, John, so yes, I've been watching them. I wouldn't mention I'm involved in this. I can't imagine what they think of me having listened to Benjamin's lies. Or maybe you sent like a ship with commandos and P4 and
Yeah, you're like a minute ahead of Locke here.
You sent Creamy Keemy. I'm not sure I can trust you.
There is that.
Locke is surprised that Widmore's been watching everyone and wants to know how he's supposed to know that Widmore isn't the one lying. Widmore replies, I haven't tried to kill you. Would you say the same for him?
Well, got a point.
He does have a point.
Yeah.
Locke stares at Widmore, who laughs and points out that Locke obviously doesn't trust him. Locke replies, you sent a team of killers and a boatload of C4 to the island. That doesn't exactly scream trust.
I think Locke has a point.
Well,
Yeah.
got a point.
Of course, Widmore claims he did it so Linus could be removed and Locke could lead the others, but Locke isn't buying it. Widmore tells him that the island needs him and has for a long time. Locke wants to know... Oh, yeah.
That's Locke.
Locke, you can see the sheet starting to rise. Locke wants to know why Widmore is acting like he's so special, and Widmore says, because you are.
Double swing.
Yep. Boing.
Flattery will get you everywhere, my friend.
He's so easily manipulated.
Oh,
yeah.
God, yes.
Well.
A car approaches, and Widmore calls it Locke's chariot. Locke blurts out, he said I would die. Richard Alpert. He said the only way to get them to come back is if I died. Widmore replies, I don't know why he said that, but I'm not going to let that happen. This is Matthew Abaddon. He'll take you, not Matthew F. Abaddon, though.
No.
He'll take you anywhere you need to go, protect you from whomever intends to do you harm. Locke turns to see Abaddon unfolding a wheelchair, and I see his face like, oh boy, here we go. The damn wheelchair. He nods and says, Mr. Locke. Before leaving, Widmore says, good luck, John, and Godspeed.
Whoa.
So Locke and Abaddon are now in a car, and Abaddon says, anything you need, Mr. Locke, you just let me know. Anything. I can need a couple of prostitutes, a bunch of...
Oh my
booze.
God.
I've been on an island for all these years. Well, actually, just weeks, months.
Yeah,
Anybody
108
from your-
days. Well, no, I guess he's there a few more than that. 108 days is when the Oceanic 6 left. So
Okay.
it's been, what, several days? Well, it's hard to say.
3 months.
because
Yeah, I know. Time is fluid.
Yeah, but what he said to Widmore, it had been 4 days since he ran into Widmore, and it was a few days before. So it's like a week or so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's imaginary time.
Yeah, that's right. I learned
Anybody
about that from a really, really smart piece of paper.
Yes. Anybody from your past you want me to look up for you? The whole world thinks you're dead, Mr. Locke. There must be somebody who'd be happy to see you. Actually not.
Well,
Locke replies, please don't talk to me. Abaddon agrees to be quiet.
total fucking silence.
Don't talk to me. Folds his arm in the back seat. Abaddon
Kind
agrees.
of rude.
Yeah, the guy's helping him. I mean, at least, So Abaddon agrees to be quiet as he stops the car for a second to let a goat cross the road, but then says, but we're almost at the airport, so you're going to have to at least tell me where we're going first. And Locke replies, Santo Domingo. Aren't y'all going to the Dominican Republic?
Yep.
We are.
We are. And actually, when this episode airs, it will be exactly 1 month before we leave.
Oh,
I
okay.
wonder if Saeed will be there building houses.
I hope so.
One can
You
hope.
both can only hope, yeah. So men are shouting in Spanish on a work site. So we are in Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic, and men are shouting in Spanish on a work site where homes are being built, and Saeed is on the rooftop hammering one of the beams,
Giggity.
which I think he was in the same position as the picture that was shown to Locke, when
Yeah.
Whitmore
Right.
was
Yeah.
showing the surveillance.
Right.
It's very, very slow moving construction there.
Very. So someone shouts in Spanish to tell him that he has a visitor. Saeed turns his head to see Locke on the ground, sitting in a wheelchair.
Oh my gosh. Can you even imagine Saeed, like the thoughts going through his head? I love how Locke sits there, just sort of slowly raises his hand to wave hi. And Saeed must have been like, oh, not this fucking shit again.
Here we go again.
Yeah,
Shit, I'm on
Damn it.
and I'm technically on an island right now. Shit.
I thought it was my Uber order, and it's fucking Locke.
Moments later, the two men are sitting at a table, and Saeed says, I don't believe this. You actually want me to go back? Locke asks Saeed to trust him, pleading that it's the only way to save their friends. Saeed says he's not going back to the island after spending 2 years being manipulated into thinking he was protecting the island. Locke wants to know who manipulated Saeed, and Saeed says, Ben. So who's manipulating you, John? Locke claims this is all coming from him, and that Saeed should know in his heart that he was never meant to leave the island in the first place. Oh, boy. Saeed replies, it's only because I left the island that I was finally able to marry the woman I loved. We spent 9 years together, the best 9 years of my life, John.
That definitely says months twice. It's weird.
Oh, yeah. Let me say that again. Oof. We spent 9 months together, the best 9 months of my life, John. That's what I know in my heart. Locke inquires about her whereabouts now, and Saeed tells him that she was murdered.
Oof.
Locke says he's sorry, and then Saeed wonders if he's so obsessed about going back because Locke has nowhere else to go.
Ouch.
Ouch.
First of many birds.
Everywhere he goes, he just gets kind of read the riot act for being a loser.
Oh, Locke.
In this episode, it's really bad. Like it's rough.
It gets worse.
Not in the next. Not in the next.
No, not the
No,
next.
You're
not
right.
the next, but
That's the
after
only
that.
somewhat positive scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As he heads to the West Coast, it gets especially brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Locke ignores this comment and says, if you change your mind, I'll be staying under the name Jeremy Bentham in L.A. at the Westerfield Hotel. Saeed stands up, and just before leaving, he says, and if you change your mind, you're welcome to come back here and do some real good. Goodbye, John. So now we're in New York, and Locke and Abaddon are in a car parked on a busy street. Locke asks him if he can look up Helen just as the school bell rings. Kids are exiting school now, and Walt is among them. Locke asks for help out of the car, and when outside, Abaddon says, so that's Michael Dawson's son, huh? Boy's gotten
Walter
big.
fucking Dawson.
Walter,
Right.
exactly. Walter fucking Dawson. I love how they work in a line like boy's gotten big, because that was sort of the problem with keeping him on the show.
Yeah.
Hey, Dad. Oh, shit.
It didn't sound like his balls had totally dropped, but he was definitely in that voice changing stage.
Yeah, the cracking stage.
Yeah, in this scene.
Walt sees Locke and tells his friends he'll be right back. Abaddon steps aside as Walt crosses the street, and Locke and Walt greet each other, and Locke notices that Walt doesn't seem surprised to see him. Walt says, I've been having dreams about you. You were on the island wearing a suit, and there are people all around you. They wanted to hurt you, John.
Uh-oh. Because isn't he like on the island in a suit right now?
Yep.
Surrounded by people.
Uh-oh.
He then asks about his dad, and Locke tells him the last he knew he was on a freighter next to the island. Kind of left out the whole blowing up part, but
Yeah.
Does Locke know the freighter blew up?
Oh, he probably does.
Does anybody? It's
No,
they don't ever really
No,
address it
they
with
don't.
him
True.
because
he
he's
was-
on
he
his
was-
own journey.
He was down on the Orchid when all that shit happened, or on his way down there.
No, but in the last episode, Jin shows up while they're on their way to the Orchid.
Oh, yep,
Yeah,
you're right.
so
So he
they
would have
have
known
to-
there.
Right.
Okay,
Okay.
so then he's sparing
That's
him.
right.
'Cause I think you said
Yeah.
the ship blew up.
Yeah, that's right. And that because you're right. He would have known
There
then.
you go.
Good call.
Good catch.
Walt wants to know why Locke is there, and Locke says he wanted to make sure he was okay. Walt confirms he's pretty good, and then says he's got to go. Sky, how was school today? Fine. Did you learn anything today? No.
And as he turns away, all of a sudden a bird flies right into Locke's face.
Really?
Breaks his nose. He looks like fucking Fabio the rest of the episode.
Abaddon returns as Walt walks away. He says, I take it. You didn't invite him along. And Locke replies, boy's been through enough. Abaddon
this
points
is
out
kind
a
of
lot.
interesting, right? Because Locke's on this mission to get back to the island, but he sees Walt, spares him that his father is dead, and then is like taking a chance at not getting back there by not even asking him to go and get on the plane, which I
he
found
wasn't one of the
interesting.
6.
Yeah, exactly. He
Right.
had left the island way before anyway.
Yeah.
Like,
Ben
I
let him
guess.
go.
Well, I guess so. Oh, yeah. And he hasn't even seen Eloise Hawking yet because I guess I was basing it on you have to recreate the conditions as much as possible. And, we saw them like Hurley had Charlie's guitar and, Saeed was in handcuffs or whatever. So the original flight, Walt would have been on it. So I always kind of thought he was sparing him. But if Locke hadn't talked to Eloise Hawking, then he maybe hadn't even heard that recreate, because Widmore doesn't tell him that, right?
I actually think this is one of those places where Locke has no ulterior motive. I think he really just wanted to see Walt.
Okay.
I agree.
Yeah.
Because
Make
when
sure
he
he was
sees
okay.
him, he's smiling, and it's such a genuine smile. He seems really, really happy to see him.
Yeah,
That
for
feels
sure.
like the point of the visit.
You mean Walt looks really happy to see him?
Locke does.
Okay, I thought they both did, actually. Like when
Yeah.
Yeah, they
when
did.
Walt turns around, the look on his face when he spots him across the street is kind of like, they were buddies. He was his friend.
I was just going to say they were buddies on the island.
Yeah,
so.
they were buddies when he was a kid, and like Locke was the first one to really treat him like a person on the island, as opposed to this kid, including his father, who didn't know what the fuck was like going on, and you know what I mean. So I like Locke was sort of his safe place on the island, I think, and I thought it was pretty genuine, the look on his face when he saw him.
So Abaddon points out that Locke is 0-2, and Locke says, I only need to convince one, and if I can do that, the rest will come. And maybe I was mistaken, but I thought you were my driver.
Damn.
The camera then pans to show Benjamin Linus on the other side of the street watching Jeremy Bentham.
Uh-oh.
Good old Ben. So now
Creepy.
we're gone to the West Coast. We're in Santa Rosa, California. Birds are chirping, and Hurley's outside the mental hospital, sitting at a table, painting a picture of a sphinx.
Wearing a robe. So,
Yes.
he's crazy.
He has to be in the I'm crazy robe.
Yes.
Otherwise, we wouldn't know he's crazy.
'Cause all crazy people wear robes.
Absolutely. That's the thing, isn't it?
Locke approaches and says hello. Hurley, thinking he's a ghost, says, so you didn't make it, huh? It's
I
cool.
love this.
No biggie.
I love it.
Yep.
It's so fucking great.
You're not the first person to visit me, But what's up with the wheelchair? Locke says he broke his leg falling down a hole, and Hurley wonders if that's how he died. Locke insists he's alive, but Hurley doesn't believe him, and Hurley yells out, hey, Susie, am I talking to a dude in a wheelchair right now? Susie replies, yep. And then Hurley just freaks out, goes crazy, jumps out of his seat and backs away. He says, whoa, dude, what are you doing here? Locke says that he needs Hurley to come back to the island with him, and they need to convince everyone else too, as well. Hurley says, I'm sorry, dude. I don't think that's going to happen. Jack's a doctor now, because he wasn't a doctor
Jack was
before.
the doctor
I know.
before.
What?
I know.
I guess he means a working doctor. I don't know.
Yeah. And Son's like, got her baby, and Kate's got Aaron. Just then, Hurley notices Abaddon and tells Locke they're being watched. Locke says that Abaddon is with him, and it's okay. He's only the driver. A freaked out Hurley replies, that dude is far from okay. When I first got locked up in here, he showed up claiming that he worked for Oceanic Air. He's evil. You should not be trusting that guy. And Locke begs Hurley to listen to him, but Hurley refuses. He plugs his ears and says, la, 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 la. Locke tries one more time, but Hurley says, no, I'm not going anywhere with you. Go away. Bye. Get out of here.
Wow.
I'm crazy. Some of the hospital staff come over and usher Hurley away.
Yeah, he's like, I'm ready to go inside.
Yep.
It's wild how this mental hospital has their sort of outdoor area right by the street where people
So
just
open
walk
access,
up and it's so weird.
Any
Like you would
random
think there shouldn't be access like that. But all right.
Both in and out.
All the
Right.
cops know by just look for anybody wearing a robe, and you just got to
Yeah.
take them back.
That's the crazy one.
The dude.
Signs around it say, don't pick up anybody in a bathrobe.
That's right.
Yeah, we have a federal prison near here, like off of I-20, and there's a sign that says, "Do not pick up hitchhikers."
Yep.
Wow.
Prison, yeah.
That's what I was referring to,
same
basically.
thing. Yep. So back in the
I
car.
didn't realize that. They put signs around prisons
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
that say don't pick up hitchhikers. Holy shit.
So back in the car, Abaddon says, "That's 3 visits now. You may want to step up your game, Mr. Locke, or we're all in serious trouble."
Damn.
An annoyed Locke asks exactly what it is that Abaddon does for Mr. Widmore. Abaddon says, "You're ready to talk about it now, huh, John? You're not really going to pretend you don't remember I was an orderly in the hospital right after your accident, that I was the one who told you to go on your walkabout, the same walkabout that put you on the plane that crashed on the island." Locke says he remembers, and Abaddon continues, "I help people get to where they need to get to, John. That's what I do for Mr. Widmore."
Ooh.
It kind of sounds like he's a weird angel of death
like an
or
entity or something. Yeah.
Well, this is now the second time this is being mentioned this episode, but we will have more to come on Matthew Abaddon when we discuss character names at the end of the show. And I think I've mentioned before, his is my favorite. Where his name comes from is pretty amazing. And so we'll be answered a little bit more of like what exactly he does for Widmore.
So now we're in Los Angeles, and Locke is inside Kate's house. She says the answer is no.
You sickos. I thought for a second you like lost your place
nope,
reading.
that
And now
was-
I realize, oh my
No.
That was
God.
actually intentional.
I knew that. I heard the pause, and I knew
Hurts.
immediately where that was going. So,
Yep. And then
Into
she
the
says the
vajayjay.
answer is no. Yeah.
well, I'm already in.
Oh, ah.
Just the tip.
Oh my God.
Locke is pleading that she doesn't understand, but Kate says, "No, you made yourself perfectly clear. Everyone on the island is going to die if I don't go back." And the answer is no.
Wow.
Locke wants to know why Kate doesn't care about the people on the island. And she says, "I think about you sometimes. I think about how desperate you were to stay on that island. And then I realized it was all because you didn't love anybody."
Whoa.
Burn. Locke replies, "That's not true. I loved someone once. Her name was Helen." Kate wants to know what happened, and Locke stutters out, It just didn't work out." Kate wants to know why, and Locke says it was due to him being angry and obsessed. "Oh, I'm a stalker. Okay." Kate looks at him and says, "And look how far you've come."
Savage.
Ooh.
Savage.
Yeah, that is pretty savage. I hate
Right
that
in the heart.
Almost like makes him want to go
Yeah.
hang himself or something.
Seriously.
I hate that
wait.
she thinks that the reason that he wanted to stay was because he didn't love anybody. Because it's
Yeah.
clearly that he just wants to belong to something,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know?
He really, truly believes that it is his destiny to be there. And we will talk more about that. I have more to say about that when we get to the end and power rankings and stuff.
When he so desperately wants to be special.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. And that is why two things. It's one of the things that's driving him. And it's the thing I think that all of us love about him. You know, that the weak, pathetic Locke just angers us. But the one
Yes.
who's like, has that certainty about his destiny is the one that we're always like, yeah, you know. But the other thing is his need to belong like that is the reason that he's so easily manipulated
Yes.
by Widmore and Ben. We'll get to this later in the later scene, but who are both basically feeding him the same lines, the same compliments to try to control him. And it sort of reminds me of Donald Trump in a way, how he's so easily manipulated by flattery. Like you just say,
Oh, God,
you say something
yes.
nice to him and all of a sudden, you know, you're like the greatest person on earth, even if you're a dictator
Magnificent.
or whatever.
Like,
Huge.
Yeah. And it sort of reminds me of that, which is like the unfortunate thing about Locke, because it's like that the quality that we love so much about him also makes him so easily like a victim of manipulation, which is unfortunate.
So Locke is exiting, not exiling, Kate's house, and Abaddon gets out of the car.
At this point, everyone's been running him down so much. I thought Abaddon got out and said, "Hey, Wheels, strike out again."
Ooh.
Oh my God.
What we call our governor, Hot Wheels.
Oh no.
Yes, we do.
You mean Greg Abbott?
That's a gentle name for him.
Oh,
Fuck
absolutely,
that guy.
yeah.
Otherwise, do you see he's defying the Supreme Court right now?
Of course, he defies everything, even common sense.
Yep.
A bunch of Republican governors are backing him, and they're all like calling for civil war. Basically, it's ridiculous.
they've been calling for
they've
civil
wanted
war
to secede for years, but
I know, but it seems like it's ramping up right now.
Oh, absolutely. The maggots are all
If it's
calling
year's
for
going to
civil
happen,
war.
it's going to be this fucking year.
Yeah,
but we have a lot of guns here in Texas.
Yeah, well, because these fucking lunatics want nothing more than to shoot liberals. That's what they want to do because they're terribly confused and angry and somehow have
only
the
shoot
idea.
someone who wants to shoot me. Shit, I'm not going to go randomly shoot people, but I guess I'm not crazy either. So
Yeah,
if I'm not whipped up
exactly.
into the frenzy.
It's very Christian of them.
Yes,
Yeah.
of course. Yeah. Oh my God.
All right. So,
anyways.
so Locke wants to know if he's found Helen Norwood yet, and an apologetic Abaddon says, "No, I didn't. I'm sorry. 3 years is a long time. It's possible she got married, changed her name. Maybe she moved out of state." And I thought the same thing as Locke. An angry Locke replies,
Bullshit.
"You found everyone else, all of them, sites in the middle of nowhere, but you can't find Helen because she moved? Your job is to get people where they need to get to. Well, I need to get to her."
Well, and he was in the fucking Tunisian desert, and they got him.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Well,
yeah.
I mean, Widmore was
The camera
expecting him
helped
to
too,
come out of
yeah.
there, but
True,
still,
but still.
I don't think Abaddon was telling the truth there. I'm sure they already had the research on Helen, and he
Sure.
was trying to hide it
And
from
we,
him.
yeah, we find
Yeah.
out where she is.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, all we need is you to go into more despair with everyone razzing you
Exactly.
about being a failure. Let's just say the love of your life is dead too. So you might as well just off yourself now, buddy.
Yeah, just
Well-
stop at Home Depot, get that extension cord, and
There you go. I think
So
that's
now
what they
we're
were
in
trying to
Santa
avoid.
Monica. Now we're in Santa Monica. Thunder's rumbling, and Locke and Abaddon are staring at a gravestone that reads Helen Norwood, June 30th, 1957 to April 8th, 2006. Oh, he found her.
Oof.
Locke says, "What happened to her?" And Abaddon tells him it was a brain aneurysm. And Locke says she loved him, and if he would have changed, they could have been together. And Abaddon points out truthfully that she'd still be gone
Yeah.
because it wouldn't change the aneurysm. He says, "Helen is where she's supposed to be. Oof. As sad as it is, her path led here. And your path, no matter what you did or what you do, your path leads back to the island."
Shwing. Sorry. It's
Yep, there he goes
inappropriate
again.
to get boners in a graveyard, I think.
I had sex at a graveyard.
Oh, that's right. You did, you
Yeah.
dirty boy.
Yes. Locke replies, "You say it's like it's all inevitable."
What do you think he was going to say? Determined?
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Destiny determined. Yep. Abaddon
Yeah,
replies,
I think Destiny.
But then there
Yeah.
would be an S. It would be DES, not DET.
Well, I get it, but if you stop in the middle of something, you're not going to go des. You're going to say
De-
something. It's debt.
yeah, that sounds like
Okay.
DT. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Either way. Abaddon replies, "Mr. Woodmore told me Richard Alpert said you were going to die. So you tell me, John, is that inevitable or is that a choice?" Locke wonders if Abaddon thinks he wants to die and says, "How could you possibly think that's a choice?" Abaddon replies, "Hey, I'm just your driver."
Oh,
Clearly can be a choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yep. Moments later, Locke is back in the car and Abaddon is putting the wheelchair into the car when suddenly the window is splattered with blood. That was unexpected.
Oh.
Abaddon stumbles and another gunshot breaks the window. Locke turns around and screams, "Matthew!" And then he climbs into the driver's seat as Abaddon is hit with another gunshot and falls into the car.
Oh.
Locke starts the engine and drives away, leaving Abaddon's body as it drops to the ground with a thud, because that's what bodies do.
Yeah.
Locke drives wildly out into the road, narrowly missing the car. He speeds down the street, running several red lights, and then drives across an intersection into oncoming traffic. A car smashes into him, sending him spinning until he comes to a stop, and another car crashes into him again, and Locke lays in the car unconscious.
That was an
was a-
awesome accident.
Yeah,
was.
yeah, that was a pretty fun series there. Like, I
Yes.
mean, Abaddon
Yeah.
getting killed obviously that sucks, but like the driving and all it was just really well sequenced. It was fun.
It definitely sucks more that he's dead in real life now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's what a loss.
What a
for
loss and
everyone.
lost.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. But anyways, Awesome fucking accident. Good job, stunt guys.
Locke wakes in a hospital bed with Jack sitting in his bedside. Jack says, "What are you doing here?"
You know
nice
what?
To see you too, asshole.
I know. The look on Jack's face and the way that he says, "What are you doing here?" It's like if looks and tone could kill.
Terrible bedside manner.
Right.
When he's got the start of that fucking beard again.
Yeah,
I know.
Oh, yes, you're right.
He's on his way to that.
Yep. Locke is confused as to how Jack found him, and Jack says, "You're in a car accident. You're brought into my hospital. What are you doing here?"
And I am the main admitting spinal surgeon of this hospital. So obviously I see everybody who comes in.
Right.
Whatever.
Locke grunts a bit and says they have to go back. Jack laughs it off and says, "Of course we do." Locke is desperate and says, "Jack, the people I left behind need our help. We're supposed to go back." And increasingly angered, Jack replies, "Because it's our destiny." How many times are you going to say that to me, John?
Oh, boy.
Locke doesn't understand how Jack can't see it's fate, especially after the fact that he could have ended up at any hospital, but he was at Jack's. Jack says the accident wasn't fate, it was probability. Locke says, "You don't understand. It wasn't an accident. Someone is trying to kill me because they don't want me to succeed. They want to stop me. They don't want me to get back because I'm important."
Oh,
Jack
boy.
has had enough and says, "Have you ever stopped to think that these delusions that you're special aren't real?"
Oh.
Come on, Jack, you prick. That maybe there's nothing important about you at all. Maybe you're just a lonely old man that crashed on an island. That's it. Goodbye, John.
Ouch.
Damn.
Ouch. Ouch.
So-
God.
So
Damn.
So you were at work. You took time off of work to sit there and wait for this guy to wake up so that you could tell him he's a loser.
Right. A lonely old man.
I
Yeah.
mean,
At this
Jack
point,
is still... Go ahead,
At
Christy.
this point, Jack is the loser because
Yeah, absolutely.
we can tell that he's already deepened his addiction. He's not with Kate anymore. You know, like he's on the downslide, you know, very clearly. So
Yeah. Yeah, he's probably listening to InfoWars at this point. It's
Ooh.
not good. It's not looking good for him.
Oh my God. I'm just thinking, like, you got to give Jack a little bit of leeway here. I mean, it's pretty fucking cruel what he said, but basically, like, their last few interactions, he saw Locke murder somebody for no apparent reason, then try to shoot him, except there weren't bullets in the gun. And, you know what I mean? Like, he's mad. He's still thinking, like, that they could have been off the island maybe earlier, maybe more people, had Locke not been fucking with everything.
Blown
I
up
don't know.
submarines.
I mean,
yeah,
I feel like it's the least that Jack can do to him is to just say something nasty, quite honestly. But still,
That was pretty
like,
nasty.
it's pretty brutal. Yeah.
So as Jack turns to leave the room, Locke says, "Your father says hello." And a very stunned Jack turns around and says, "What?" Locke replies, "A man. The man who told me to move the island. The man who told me how to bring you all back. He said to tell his son hello. Couldn't have been Saeed's father, and it definitely wasn't Hurley's, so that leaves you. He said his name was Christian."
Whoa.
Jack tells him that his father is dead, and Locke insists he didn't look dead to him. Jack says his father died in Australia 3 years ago, and he's still dead.
Yeah,
Well, you'll
you
be
sure?
surprised on that island. And even more desperate, Locke says, "Jack, please, you have to come back. You're the only one who can convince the rest of them. You have to help me. You're supposed to help me." Jack snaps and tells Locke that it's over. Just before closing the door behind him as he leaves, Jack says, "It's done. We left, and we were never important. So
Whoa.
you leave me alone, and you leave the rest of them alone."
Holy shit. This is insane scene, like his last and best hope. But as we know, Locke is right. Jack is the one. He turns Jack, and then Jack is the one that drags everybody else back in, which sort of makes it weird that he didn't start with Jack, but that's fine. I think. I think.
Well, he seemed to go because he was in the Dominican Republic. He just went up the East Coast and then flew across.
Well, I also think it's a little bit more powerful. Like they wanted Jack to be the last one because it was his last hope, and also, then we can jump right into the suicide scene where he writes Jack the note. But yeah.
So Locke is now in his hotel room, and he writes on a piece of paper, "Jack, I wish you would have believed me, JL," before folding it and putting it in his pocket. And this is like, for Charles Widmore's money, he stays in a crappy hotel.
Right.
God, ceiling has a hole in it. Come on.
Yeah, that's true. What the hell?
Like
it should be like a penthouse suite or something.
Like what Son was staying in.
Exactly.
If I'm going to hang myself, I want to hang myself at a place with a view.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to die in the Ritz.
Yeah, man.
So he throws...
Can I get a room with a view, please?
Exactly.
Oh, my God. I am laughing really hard at that for a good fucking reason. Christy and I, where were we? It was actually in Seattle. This was
my first visit to Seattle.
That's right. Yeah. I was still living up on Whidbey Island at the time, at the Navy base, I think. Yeah. And we went down to Seattle and checked into a hotel just for like a couple nights. And then did we go to Portland after that or Vancouver maybe? I don't remember. But anyway, so it was like a cheap ass hotel, a Days Inn or something like that. And it was about, 6 floors, I guess?
Something like that.
But it was right downtown. So we're surrounded by giant high rises in this like 6th floor building. And I think like we had already gotten like super fucking high. And so we were
wasted.
We were like wasted. I think we'd had a couple drinks. We were like waiting for it to get to 3 to 4 when you could check in at the hotel. And we had just been in the city. And so we go to check in and there's this guy at the counter and he is just acting like weirdly pretentious about checking in to this like Days Inn. And the way he's speaking to the woman at the counter was just absurd. And we're like looking back and forth at each other. And then all of a sudden he goes, "Can I get a room with a view?" And we just fucking busted out laughing right behind him. And we just lost it, had to walk back out of the building into the parking area because we were laughing so hard. I might have peed my pants. And it was just like, what the fuck are you? A view of what?
Yeah,
well, and I think that was
about?
right after he had asked if the hotel had a pool.
Oh, that's right. Does the hotel have a pool?
Get your sheet at the door at the front desk.
It was unreal. It was just like the marmalade incident.
Yeah,
Ben.
that's what I was thinking. The marmalade thing. Yeah.
Ben and I went out to the Pacific Coast, out on the peninsula here in Washington for his birthday one year. There's this little town called Ocean Shores.
Also we call it open sores, actually.
Or it's sort of like it's a little podunk beach town basically. But we decided we were going to drive north and check out some more of the coastline. And what
there
we
ain't
drove,
shit out there.
There's nothing. There were
FYI.
no towns. There were just like random houses and trailer parks in the middle of nowhere, and it just
there was
like
a dead dog in one of them that we drove into.
Yeah,
just a dead dog lying in the street.
the road.
Yikes.
And
Wow.
it was a little bit. It was sort of depressing because it just was
It
like
was.
this poverty that made you feel bad if you have empathy. So we decided we're like, okay, let's just turn back around. We had passed some little podunk restaurant in the middle of nowhere. Like, let's go in there and see if we can grab a bite to eat. Well, it turned out it was like the restaurant, also the post office, and also like where you got like fishing and hunting licenses. It was like all 3 in one giant room. It was so weird.
It was weird.
So we're going to get some breakfast. I mean, this is clearly going to be, it's not going to be gourmet
very,
food
very rudimentary.
rudimentary stuff. So we ordered some eggs and bacon, and there was like a family at the table next to us, mom, dad, and I think a kid in a high chair or something. And they bring the family their food, and obviously he has toast, and the guy just looks at the server and goes, "Do you have any marmalade?" And Ben and I were like,
Marmalade. They don't even know what that is.
He didn't. Now, to be fair, he didn't say it like that. He didn't
No,
say,
but that's
"Do you
how I
have
heard
any
it.
marmalade?"
He didn't have any
No,
grape
marmalade.
poupon.
Right, that's what I was thinking.
You're just channeling the Room with a View guy when you're doing
Yes,
this.
that's true.
But he did ask for marmalade, and we both just started.
We lost it.
Pretty sure there were chunks of bacon coming out of my nose. I was laughing so hard.
Oh my God. Yeah. It was so fucking funny because I just was like, in my head, I was screaming, "There's a dead dog outside. There's no fucking marmalade." Stop it. Oh my goodness.
I just got a text. I got a text from Donald Trump just now.
What?
Oh.
How are you on that list?
I don't know, because from Trump, are you voting for me again? I just won New Hampshire and I have a few questions. The liars and the fake news love to say my supporters are abandoning me, but I know that this isn't true. Answer today if you're voting for Trump. No.
Fuck
I'm not going to
you.
answer because it'll put me on their list. Yeah.
Well, somehow you're on their list. How would they get your phone number? They could just be blasting.
I got on one for a while.
I get a lot of spam ones too, like
Really?
from politicians.
Yeah.
Just
they probably just bought your number from somewhere.
Yeah, I got some Trump stuff for 2020.
Ugh, gross.
Yeah.
Okay.
Every time I always send something back. I was like, "Fuck off and die."
Oh, lovely. You probably shouldn't say
Sucks
that to
it's
the
a bot,
president.
but,
Yeah, fuck him.
I'd say it to him. I don't care if he was the president or is. So back to this episode here. So he throws the cell phone that Widmore gave him into the bin, which that sounds British,
It does.
and then stands with his crutches. He grabs a cable and ties it first to the radiator and then over a beam on the ceiling. He ties a noose, puts it over his head, and is moments away from killing himself when there's a knock at the door.
What?
Room service, housekeeping.
Wouldn't you think that a extension cord like that doesn't feel like it has it would bind up on itself, right? Like I feel like I don't know.
The orange ones.
Yeah, those things are generally. It feels like they would bind up in such a way that it might actually be hard. Yeah.
Would it matter if you were
Because
hanging,
the noose
though?
wouldn't tighten, though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The noose wouldn't tighten because all of the stress would go against the material.
That's true because it's rubber, so I don't think
it's rubberized.
It would, too much friction. Yeah,
too much friction. So.
I guess I was thinking it wouldn't matter if you were just hanging there, that it would cut off the circulation enough that it didn't need to be like.
Maybe it would, but I would be afraid that it wouldn't. You couldn't cinch it enough for it to really close you out, and you just sit there and dangle for
Because normally when they execute people by hanging it, they break their neck.
Yeah, you drop them 6 feet.
But you drop him 6 feet for that. He was just stepping off a table.
Asphyxiation, on the other hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a thing.
So, again, there's another knock, and then another knock at the door with a familiar voice calling, "John? John?" Just then, Benjamin fucking Linus bursts through the door and says, "John, what are you doing?" "I'm just checking out the ceiling here. Don't mind the noose."
It was like I was about to beat off, but thanks for jumping in here.
His pants were down.
Oh my God.
Locke is in shock and wants to know how he found him. Ben says, "I have a man watching Saeed. I'm watching all of them, keeping them safe."
Oh boy.
A lot of people keeping them safe. Wow.
Yeah, they are. A lot of people
Very
dying
protected.
for people being kept safe.
Yeah, no
too.
shit.
Yeah.
When you turned up, he called me. Locke is very upset, and Ben is trying to calm him down. Locke demands, "What do you want from me?" Ben says, "I'm trying to protect you."
Uh-huh.
Locke isn't buying it and accuses him of murdering Abaddon, and Ben admits it and says it was only a matter of time before Abaddon killed Locke anyways, because he's working for Widmore and is very dangerous. Locke says that Widmore saved him, and Ben replies, "No, John, he used you. He waited till you showed up so that you could help him get to the island. Charles Widmore's the reason I moved the island." Whoa.
Oh, boy.
So he could never find it again. Boy, I'd be so confused if I was Locke.
Yeah, seriously.
All these people tell me how important I am,
Yep.
but my friends tell me I'm a loser. To keep him away
that's
so that
actually an interesting point. You're right. Like, right now, just in sequence, every single person.
Yeah.
Well, first he sees Charles Widmore, tells him he's special. Then everyone he goes to see tells him he's a loser. And then Ben Linus shows up telling him that he's special again.
Yeah, the bad guys are telling him he's special, and the good guys, supposed good guys, are saying he's a loser.
Yeah.
So you guys are trying to manipulate him.
Right.
Yeah. So you think they're both bad guys no matter what? There's no, if they're in a war, that there's no good side there?
I think they're opposing sides, but
right.
I don't think I don't know. Right now, I don't think Charles Widmore is as bad as I did. That's why he's not, I'm not killing him we'll get to that later. But
Yeah.
no, I don't think.
Well, that was what, if you remember, that was what I predicted. I said in season 5, I wonder, if people's opinions of Charles Widmore are going to change. And so that doesn't surprise me that you're feeling that way. But I guess, as opposing sides, they could both be bad.
Yeah. I mean, the Soviets did fight the Germans and they were both bad. So, yeah.
Yeah. We'll find out more about who's bad, who's not.
Yep.
Bad.
You can't do this. If anything happens to you, John, you have no idea how important you are. Let me help you. Locke thinks there's no helping him because he's a failure. Ben is trying to reassure him that he's not, but Locke says, I am. I couldn't get any of them. I couldn't get a single one of them to come back with me. I can't lead anyone. Poor Locke. Ben replies, Jack's booked a plane ticket from Los Angeles to Sydney tonight. Return trip first thing in the morning. So John says, all right, here, put this around my neck, put my pants down. Let's take care of this.
Right.
Whatever you said to him, John, it worked. And if you got Jack, you can get the rest of them, John. You can't die. You've got too much work to do. We've got to get you back to that island so you can do it. Ben unties the cable.
I haven't gotten Jack. I was about to get Jack when you ran in here.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Come on, tie me off and let me finish.
Yeah. Ben unties the cable and begs Locke to come down. Locke begins to cry, and Ben says he knows they can do this. He suggests that Locke goes to see Son. Locke says he can't because he promised Jen. And a surprised Ben says, Jen is alive? And Locke replies, yeah, but he doesn't want her to know. He wanted me to tell her that his body washed up on the beach, and he gave me his wedding ring to prove it.
Oh my God. So Ben knew the entire time what the ring was for and deliberately used it for the opposite.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Oh, that's great.
Ben agrees that a promise is a promise while a crying Locke removes the noose from his neck. He thanks Ben, who's comforting him, saying he knows they can do this. Ben is gathering the cable and says, once we get them all to the same place, I don't know where we go from there, but we'll figure something out. Locke says he knows where to go. There's this woman named Eloise Hawking in Los Angeles that can help them. And Ben's eyes just go,
Wrong words. Wrong words.
Seriously.
That's
bugging out.
That's not the safe word, Locke.
No.
So Ben is shocked that Locke has her name, and Locke notices. He says, do you know her? Ben says, yes, John, I know her. And then he quickly wraps the cable around Jocks.
That's yep.
See, this is what happens when you got dick on the mind.
Around Locke's neck, pulling it tight, causing Locke to fall out of his wheelchair. Locke struggles, but Ben is stronger and squeezes Locke's neck until his body goes limp. Well, most of his body.
Exactly.
Then he takes his last breath.
Be amazing. He's sitting there. He's sitting there. He chokes him out, and when he's done, he's sitting there and he just sees a giant bulge, and he's like, "Jesus, John."
And he takes his last breath, and Locke is dead.
Holy shit! What did you think of this scene, Derek?
That came out of nowhere, but I know it has something to do with Eloise Hawking because that triggered Ben to kill him.
Yeah, so I wonder.
Because I don't know if he was intending to kill him before that. I don't think
it did not appear that way because otherwise, why not just let him hang himself if you want him dead? It was something about the name Eloise Hawking that he went, oh shit. Yeah. Maybe like, oh fuck, he has too much information. I can't control him. I wonder if that could be it. Yeah,
because now he has to haul his body back up there and hang it.
Yeah, which, by the way, is fucking impossible. Dead weight is a real thing.
Literally dead weight.
Yeah, I've had to pick up and carry many dead animals after euthanasia, and it's like surprising how heavy 60 pounds feels, let alone like an entirely full-grown man.
So a shadow of a hanging body projects on the wall, and Ben finishes wiping down the apartment, picks up Jen's wedding ring from the table, and puts it in his pocket. Just before leaving, he says, I'll miss you, John. I really will.
I believe him.
I do too. I actually did believe that.
Yeah.
As Ben leaves, the camera pans to show his Locke body hanging from the ceiling with the suicide
Locke's
note.
been a fun toy for Ben.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. Yeah. You're not wrong about that.
Back on Hydra Island in 2007, Locke walks to the door.
The other thing, sorry, Derek. The other thing, yes, agreed, Christy. He's been a toy for Ben, but I do also think that Ben has some bit of respect, maybe is the right word, for the way that Locke loves the island and wants to protect the island. And because that seems to be Ben's overarching, existence as well.
He told him to lead the others.
Yeah. And so I think, he might miss him in that way too, because, Locke is an other, according to Jacob, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Whoever that is.
Who?
We'll get there. End of this season.
So back on Hydra Island, Locke walks to the door of an office and sees Caesar reading files at a desk. He says, "That symbol, it belongs to an organization called the Dharma Initiative. They were conducting some experiments here a while back." Caesar questions how Locke knows this, and Locke says he spent 100 days on the island and knows a lot. Caesar wants to know if Locke was already here when they crashed, and Locke says no, that he left. When Caesar questions how long ago Locke left, Locke sighs and says, "The timing would just confuse you." That imaginary time again. Damn it. Caesar wants to know how Locke got back, and Locke says, "To be honest, that part's a bit of a mystery to me." Caesar says, "Okay, John Locke, I have a mystery too. Maybe you can help me with it. On the plane, I was sitting across the aisle from that really big guy with curly hair. Said dude all the time." When the plane started shaking, really shaking, there was a big noise and a bright light, and this really big guy with curly hair was gone, man. I mean, literally gone. And it wasn't always him. It wasn't only him. Some of us saw it happen to other people too. So, Mr. John Locke, do you have an idea about what happened? Locke says he thinks he might know how he came to be there, but he needs to find his friends for sure. He asks for a passenger list, but Caesar says the pilot took it when he ran off. Locke wants to know if everyone has been accounted for other than the ones who disappeared, and Caesar says, yeah, except for the people who got hurt. So, wow, nobody died. Crazy.
Oh, well, it looks like they had a very soft
intact,
landing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Lapidus.
Hell yeah.
They had an awesome pilot.
It's probably an Airbus.
Yeah. A Boeing, whenever that turbulence, the whole thing would just come apart midair.
Yeah, seriously, missing bolts all over the place.
So Locke and Caesar are now walking in a room where the wounded lay in cots. Locke stops and stares at one of the beds, and Caesar asks if Locke knows the man. As Locke looks down at an unconscious Benjamin Linus, he says, "He's the man who killed me."
What?
Boom.
Lost title screen, end of episode.
Ooh, wow. It's a big one.
Yep, that's what she said.
Before we continue talking about that, would you like some fun facts?
Sure.
When Locke goes to visit Hurley in this episode, Hurley is doing a watercolor, it looks like, of a sphinx, the Sphinx. So today's fun facts are on the Egyptian Sphinx, which is estimated to be as old as 4,500 years. It is one of the only surviving 7 wonders of the ancient world, and it's located in the Giza Plateau on the west bank of the Nile, around half an hour west of Cairo. I was going to say, has anybody been there? But I know Christy and Ben haven't. Derek, have you ever been to Egypt? Okay.
Would like to go, but...
I think it would be cool to
I
see
do not
that.
want to go there.
Why?
It would be cool to see the Sphinx and the pyramids, but from what I understand, it's a country that's not terribly friendly to women, especially Western women.
Oh,
Egypt? Yeah, I guess. I mean, you'd probably need to have a guide and make sure that you stay to local customs. I think out of a lot of countries that would have that reputation, I thought Egypt would be one of the better ones to go to, but I'm not claiming that I know that for a fact.
probably if you stay in touristy areas like the pyramids, you'd be fine.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Or if you had like a guide, like you were on a specific tour or something. But all right, back to fun facts. At 240 feet high and 240 feet long, the Sphinx is the largest surviving statue from the ancient world. According
Aliens.
to some estimates, what did you say?
Aliens.
Aliens? Yeah,
aliens.
indeed.
Clearly.
Yeah.
According to some estimates, it took about 3 years for 100 workers using stone hammers and copper chisels to finish the statue, which sounds crazy.
That's
that
impressive,
it was only
though.
100 workers.
Way back then, rudimentary tools.
Yeah, so the interesting thing, apparently these 100 workers carved the statue from one single piece of limestone left over in the quarry used to build the pyramids. So it's like an extra piece of the pyramid. But that might explain why it only took 3 years, right? Because limestone's pretty soft. So
Yeah.
that would be easier. The front paws of the Sphinx were actually built from separate blocks of limestone as well. Once upon a time, the Great Sphinx was painted a primary color palette of red, blue, and yellow. And you can still see the residual red paint on one of its ears. And that must have looked cool. A giant painted statue in the middle of the desert.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one of its most distinguishing features beyond its size is its lack of a nose. At one stage, the face would have sported a 1 meter long nose. The long pervading myth is that Napoleon's troops shot it off with a cannon when they invaded Egypt in 1798. And apparently that is depicted in the new film that is out. And the Egyptians are pissed about it, because that theory has been discredited thanks to a series of 18th century drawings which suggested he had been without a nose for quite some time. It's likely that the nose was cleaved off around 300 years before Napoleon showed up, potentially by a Sufi Muslim during a protest.
What movie?
Is it called
Napoleon?
I think
Yeah.
it's
Oh, that
called
new one?
Napoleon.
Yeah.
But it has a really famous director who is escaping me right now. Yeah, it says it came out in
Best Napoleon
2023.
I
Yeah,
saw
Ridley
was
Scott.
Bill and Ted's.
Well, and that's really funny because this is Ridley Scott. So yeah, I guess they put that in the film, and it pissed off the Egyptians because I guess they don't like thinking, a European came in and did this when it was not. Right. The Sphinx also used to have a beard, but has lost most of it to erosion. You can see a remnant of the beard. Funny, at the British Museum and the Museum of Egyptian Antiquities in Cairo. And that also will explain why they don't like the theory that it was a white person, since it's the white people that are holding their artifacts in a museum. Yeah. Last fact, one of the most peculiar aspects of the Sphinx is its out of proportion head. Some researchers support the theory that the Sphinx has actually been recarved several times by different pharaohs since it was first created to keep up with the fashionable aesthetics. Some even claim the original head might have been a ram or a hawk. And by its unusual or out of proportion head, what I should say is it's tiny. It's small compared to the rest of the body, which is why they think it's been carved multiple times. And that's why it keeps getting smaller. Make sense?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. That's the Sphinx. Shall we do some best
all those
and worst?
pharaohs, they all really just wanted a little head, right?
Oh! Ben, give us your best and worst moments from this episode.
My favorite moments were when Locke went to see Walt, and just kind of the look on Walt and Locke's face when they saw each other.
Yeah.
That was really sweet. I also liked the scene with Hurley thinking that that Locke was a ghost, and then only freaking out when he realized that he was alive. That was
So good.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
My
ghost
least-
doesn't bother him at all. It's the live Locke that's scary.
Yeah. My least favorite scenes were one, Ben killing Locke, obviously. Then my second one was Ben killing Abaddon. And the third one, while we didn't see it, I'm guessing Ben killed Helen as well.
You're not buying it was an aneurysm.
No, it was a Beneurysm.
Oh, that's great. Derek, what about you? Best and worst moments.
My best moment was the Hurley scene. It was just funny, just how he freaked out, acted like he was crazy. Oh, wait, he was crazy. Wearing a robe. I was wearing a robe.
Yeah, man.
It's
That
a robe.
giveaway.
It has to be, yeah. And the worst moment was when Ben Linus killed Locke after helping him off the rope and telling him all that bullshit.
All right. Yeah, I had both kind of honorable mention best moments. The conversation with Locke and Walt and the conversation with Locke and Hurley. I think they were both just like so perfect. But for me, again, it's just one quote as the best moment, which is, "My name is John Locke." Because
What?
love it. I remember flipping out when this first aired because I was just so happy that he was back. Locke had always been one of my favorites, so I thought that was great. A lot of dead people coming back from the dead in season 5.
And it's funny,
already.
the actor who plays Locke is going to be in a new Walking Dead series.
No shit.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
Really?
It's kind of
Do you know
interesting
anything
that-
about like the premise of the spinoff other than the Walking Dead universe?
No, I've kind of faded away from the Walking Dead. It's gotten redundant.
I know.
Yeah.
It did get redundant, but I don't know.
I
Maybe
mean, I
John
loved
Locke
it in the
can-
beginning for years.
bring it
I watched
back.
it religiously.
Yeah. The first few seasons were pretty great.
Yep.
Yeah, about 5 to 6 seasons is about where I've left off every time.
He's going to
Yeah,
be.
me too.
He's going to be portraying a major general. So
Interesting.
Yep.
Oh. So like Locke in episode 4 of season 1. Wasn't he? He was
Yeah.
Colonel then, wasn't he? Or something like
Yep.
that. All right, cool. My worst moment was the setting of Locke's leg because it legit like brought back
Flashbacks.
memories of pain for me. So I absolutely hated that. Christy, what about you?
So for me, the best moments were 3. Locke's visits to Saeed, Walt, and Hurley.
Oh yeah,
Saeed
the
was-
one with Saeed was pretty good
Yeah.
too. Yeah,
No,
yeah.
he just
It was
like
super
Saeed
sweet.
was oily.
I thought it was super sweet the way he was talking about the time that he got to spend with Nadia.
yeah. Good point.
Walt's face when he saw Locke was
Yep.
priceless.
Yep.
And when Hurley realized that Locke was real was fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
For me, the worst moment was finding out that Helen died from a brain aneurysm.
Oh, hey.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
you related to that, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially hard for me for obvious reasons. I cried when I was watching it last night. I cried like I had tears in my eyes when we were going over it. And then when you were talking about the end, where when Locke was thinking that maybe Helen would still be alive
Yeah.
if he was here, and like it's a brain aneurysm, but maybe Locke would have been paying attention to her having a headache for a long
Yeah.
time, or
Oh,
there's
symptoms.
so many.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Or maybe if
it is
Locke had-
possible.
Yeah, maybe if Locke had behaved, her blood pressure wouldn't have been bad,
Oh
True.
Jesus!
which could have led to an aneurysm. Yeah, that's true. And God, I mean, that would have been me standing at the grave with your husband, both in total fucking shock after you had dropped dead from an aneurysm. I know we've talked about
Yeah.
this many times, but quick reminder, Christy got a routine MRI for MS, and they incidentally discovered an aneurysm that would have killed her in less than 3 years had they not found that. And she had brain surgery and she's alive. And so, yeah, I would have very much been standing probably at your grave just in total shock and despair had you not had that.
Yep.
Yeah, life is weird
Been
sometimes.
almost 8 years.
I know, and every year Facebook sends me the reminder of when I came to visit you after brain surgery, and I went there thinking that she was going to be some sort of fucking invalid, and I was going to have to like feed her and carry her to the bathroom because I don't know what the hell brain surgery is
Yeah,
like.
anything
And
you think about, I think the same thing with brain surgery. It's like very major, but
I had
and
no idea.
right.
No, we didn't know. And so I was coming and I was going to take care of her. And then I got there and like 3 days later, she was like, let's go to brunch and get mimosas. And I'm like, okay. And there's a picture of us taking a selfie of us out right after we had brunch and mimosas 3 days after she had fucking brain surgery. No,
Well,
3 days
and
after you'd been home from brain surgery. It was
Right.
like a week. Yeah. Or 10
My
days.
friend
or something.
Shannon had brain surgery a few months before I did, more than a few months before I did, but relatively same time frame.
Yeah.
Same brain surgeon. And she did not bounce back as quickly as I did. She had to go into a rehab facility.
Wow. See, that's what I was expecting.
Wear a robe.
Yeah, she's had to go through multiple additional surgeries because she basically has permanent nerve damage. She has to wear glasses now. Like,
Jesus.
she's doing pretty well considering.
Yeah, this bitch here, though, was drinking mimosas a week after she had fucking brain surgery. And that picture comes up every year on the Facebook memories. And I remember that being like, that was so what? You were just like, yeah, I had brain surgery. What about it?
And I had a comb over.
You did have a comb over. Oh, so all right. Great. Wow. I don't know where we were. We just finished best moments, right?
Ben.
Yes.
All right. No, Ben did his. I started with him.
Yeah, I did. That's right.
Christy, just keep going. Give us your rankings.
So at the bottom of the bottom, I have Jack because he was being really, really brutal with Locke.
All right.
Second is Charles Widmore, and the worst of the worst is Ben.
Mm-hmm.
At the top, third from the top is Lapidus. I know he wasn't in the episode, but he clearly did a great job landing that fucking plane.
Yeah, that's true.
No shit.
And then he took somebody to the other island on an outrigger.
Right.
So next up, I have Saeed, just because, like I said, he was so sweet the way he was talking about his time with Nadia. And then in the top, I have Locke. He really did try to do his best, not only for the island, but for the people on the island.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I'm going to fuck Saeed and I'm going to kill Ben.
Surprise.
Shocking.
Yeah.
Big surprise.
Ben, how about yours? What did you have this week?
I did not have a third worst, but I did. In second worst, I had Jack for the same reasons. He basically just waited around to tell Locke that he was this loser, that he wasn't special. It just seemed unnecessarily kind of cruel.
Wow. All right.
This is going to be surprising, but for my worst, I do have Ben Linus.
What?
I love it when he's scheming. I love it when he's being, when he's being him, but when he's just straight up killing people left and right, it's just not, it ceases to be fun at that point.
If he schemes to kill them, yes.
I think Ben would say it wasn't random, that he was doing it for the island, but fine.
Sure, of course. In third place, I've actually got Charles Widmore. To see, a different side of him. Now, I don't know who's lying in this case.
Obviously.
Yeah, third place at the top. I don't really know who's lying in this case, but it sort of feels like it's a power structure that goes beyond any of the people that are caught up in it. Second place, I've got Saeed, doing his thing, doing his building houses and all that type of stuff, just give him back to the world.
Like a Habitat for Humanity kind of
that's what it looks like.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I've
good
got
for him. He's gone to torturing boards instead of people.
Yes.
And I appreciate that too.
I've got Locke in the top spot.
Two for
I don't
Locke.
have. Yeah, I'm not killing anyone, but I'm going to fuck Alana.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's cute.
She's hot.
Yeah.
I like that curly hair, the dark curly hair. Something about that gets me every time. Derek, what about yours?
I don't have a third worst, but my second worst is Jack for just being a jerk to Locke about him and telling him he's not important, drove him to hang himself.
You and Ben both. All right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And this is going to surprise y'all and make Christy happy, but my number one is Ben Linus.
Oh, this is fucked up.
Yeah, I've turned
Both
against
of
him.
you.
Well, again, the
Both
same
of
thing
you.
like Ben, just random killing. I mean, he was helping him not kill himself, and all of a sudden he decides to kill him.
Okay, well,
Something snapped.
I'm gonna argue with you in a minute.
Okay.
That's
I
fine.
think his neck snapped is what
Yeah, a
snapped.
lot of things snapping.
His leg, his neck.
Pants. Yeah, his zipper.
Pants?
His snaps on his pants. Boing.
There's your Jack in a box.
Hey-o.
So third best was Saeed because, of the ones he tried to, convince, he was the nicest. And I also liked what he said about his wife. The
A lot
best
of
time
Saeed
was
in the
his wife.
top. Good for you,
Mhm.
buddy.
Second best is Hurley because I just liked his reactions to Locke being alive.
Yeah.
And my best is Locke because he tried
That's
so
three.
hard. Yep, he tried so hard to convince him to go back to save the island and the people.
Wow. Is
And I'm
Locke going to
gonna-
sweep?
And I'm gonna fuck Ilana, and I'm gonna kill Ben Linus. I'm gonna put him
Oh,
up there on the
No!
extension cord. Yeah.
Double whammy from Derek. God damn.
Yep.
All right. I only had one in the bottom, and I put him the third worst, and I left second and first open, and that was Caesar because I am suspicious of this man. First, he hides a gun from Ilana, and then Walt talks about his dreams and the people like wanting to hurt him, and something's up with Caesar, and I do
Agreed.
not trust him.
yeah. He was not
but-
cast with it. They didn't look at his face and say, "Hey, let's cast somebody that people are going to trust."
Right.
Right.
I mean,
There's
true.
there's
You're
something
right.
about
Like-
I mean, I was
him
a
that seems
little
Yeah.
off.
suspicious of him when he, told Jack what he did at the.
Yeah.
Oh,
the
yeah.
airport.
See,
Counter.
I thought
I was
that
like,
too.
why does
So-
he care so much?
Yeah, and as we know, there are forces that send people to this island to do their bidding, and I'm just kind of worried that Caesar was on that plane because he knew it was going to the island. But I don't have evidence yet, so I still just put him third worst. All right, in the best. There is a theme to my best. I have third best Benjamin Linus, second best
What?
Charles Widmore, best Locke. And the reason that they're all up there is because, yes, you're right. I
Locke
did know
swept
Locke
it.
was going to sweep because I knew my own vote. So yay for Locke. But the reason all three of them are in the top for me is because in their own way, and I may not agree with their ways or be on their side, but in their own way, they're all trying to do what's best for the island or what they think is best for the island. And by this part in the show, I'm bought and I'm sold on the island. It's magic. It's special. It needs to be protected at all costs. And at this point, I think in watching, I'm not super concerned which one of them is right and which one of them is going to save the island because I don't know that yet. And all I can base it off of is that appears to be each of their intentions. And I like that. Now, the reason Benjamin Linus ended up in third is because he did strangle Locke, which annoys me a little bit. However, he didn't end up in my bottom because really, in a way, there was no harm, no foul. Because had he not walked in, Locke was going to kill himself anyways.
That's
And this moment at least lets us puts this idea in our head, wow, what was the mention of Eloise Hawking's name that did that to Ben?
Triggered
so the
him, yeah.
scene, it gives me that exciting a bit of information too. And so that's why I kept him in the top, and I am the only one who is right. Now,
Well, you were right until you said the last word. Yeah.
I'm going to have another threesome, and this time it's going to be with Matthew Abaddon and Saeed, because literally how hot would that be? And I'm going to kill Jack's beard again. I wasn't as mad as Jack at the rest of you, because I did think he probably felt justified in throwing a few barbs after Locke, literally pulled a gun.
Well, he did, yes, but he just went
Yeah,
on
but
and on and on.
Ultimately, it was
Yeah.
what he said to Locke that made Locke want to go fucking hang himself.
Yeah, which, as we know, he had to be dead to get back. So,
So
yeah.
Jack helped him on his way.
Yeah, but you're right, Christy. He did have that scraggly ass beard starting to come in, so I'm mad about that at least. All right, Ben, please update us on what the rankings are after season 5, episode 7. Did Locke get enough points to knock King Daniel Faraday off the top?
Well, in third place third from the bottom. I guess we're not naming this character anymore.
Oh no, it's Aaron still, isn't it?
Yeah, we have negative 23
God
points. No
damn it.
change there. Frogert still in second place with negative 29 points. And
Frogert.
Charles Widmore moved from negative 32 to negative 31 points. So
Oh.
there was
look at him.
some up and down, but it was sort of a wash. At the top, we've got Sawyer falling into third place with 37 points. Locke jumping into second place with 49 points. And
Wow.
Dan Faraday still edging him out with 53 points.
Wow. but it's close. It's a close
Second,
race
third.
with those two.
Yeah.
And
Third's been
Sawyer,
jockeying each
although
week.
Sawyer's dropped to third with 37 points, but next week's a Sawyer episode. So
I was reading that this was the first time in the series that Sawyer didn't appear in 2 episodes in a row.
Oh, these last 2, episodes 6 and 7? Okay. Yep. Well, episode 8 is all about him, and it is such a good one. But we're still on this episode. So, shall we do some final impressions?
Yes.
All right. Christy, let's start with you.
I really liked this episode a lot. Finding out what happened to Locke after he spun the Wheel of Fortune. And, like what he did when he got off the island was pretty cool. And it was especially nice to see Walt again. So I really liked it.
Yeah. Ben, how about you?
Yeah, I really liked this episode. It was interesting because I think John doesn't have a really strong self-image, right? He needs, there's got to be sort of consistent validation for him to actually get out of those feelings of being, being a loser or whatever. So him going on this special mission, being sent by the powers of the island to go back to the place to bring the people that he's trying to, that are going to save the island, all to have them for the most part, other than Saeed and Hurley, they didn't really do this, but the other ones basically, said to him all of the things that he felt about himself, right?
Yeah, that's
Kate was pretty brutal too.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good point. They're just reinforcing everything he hates about himself, and then the other two are just blowing black smoke up his ass.
Yeah. So he goes into this, kind of hard charging into it, but immediately he starts encountering that friction, and so much so that by day 3 or whatever, he's fucking trying to hang himself in a hotel room. So it again shows that while he is capable of doing great things, he's also very malleable, easy to be manipulated, because he has this kind of hole in him that nothing really seems to fill other than the island. And even that's sort of,
it's been fucking with him.
It's sort of chaotic.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought it was a really good episode. The thing that I keep thinking about is what about hearing the name Eloise Hawking set Ben off?
Yes.
That was
exactly.
That was a really interesting, because even then he's like, yes, I know her, John. You could hear the venom in his voice immediately. There's some sort of envy or jealousy or something going on there.
Yeah.
And it may be as simple as I know she's the one that's going to, the way that we're going to get back, and as long as I know that, I've got leverage over everyone else. It may be that simple, but my guess is that there's something else going on there.
Yeah, and I think you're right about that. And it's like if he has Eloise's name, then that renders me obsolete.
Yes,
right. Because that's all he has. He wasn't one of the originals. He's not part of this. You have to recreate everything. Yep. The only power he has is that is her, and yeah. I mean, that's what I thought that meant when he just heard his name. It was like, oh fuck, he knows too much. Yeah. All right. For me, I also thought this was one of the best episodes of this season so far. I love how we get to, live through everything with Locke that we basically already know happened, and we've been hearing it since the end of season 4, I suppose, right? When it started with the flash forwards, or end of season 3, sorry, when it started the flash forwards of season 4, we've been hearing about Jeremy Bentham being dead, and now we get to see, exactly what happened. So I love that part of the episode. I love the twist, honestly, when Ben kills him, because it just opens more questions and holy shit. I love that Charles Widmore might not seem like so much of a villain anymore. There's that sort of open question now too. And I mean, it just obviously Locke's back from the dead. Holy fuck. And it just sort of blows this season wide open. Like, okay, they're back. Locke's alive. What happens now? Definitely leaves me wanting more. Derek, what did you think of the life and death of Jeremy Bentham? And did it open any questions for you?
Yeah, I thought it was a really good episode. Locke, he tries to convince them to go back, and looks like it didn't work on any of them except for maybe Jack. He flew to Australia. But Charles Widmore, yeah, it's interesting. He doesn't seem to be as bad of a bad guy, at least right now to me, as he was in the beginning. More neutral towards him. Mm-hmm. And, but he did help Locke try to convince the others, but for what reason? So some of my questions are, why did Ben kill Locke? What did saying Eloise Hawking do to trigger him to all of a sudden just kill him?
Right.
And why is Charles Widmore helping Locke?
Yeah. Well, what did you think about when he said there's a war coming? Do you think who's exactly, the war?
What war? Yeah, what's this war? Who are the combatants,
Well,
I mean, it seems like right now it's like Widmore versus Ben, but you don't know.
It does. It does seem like Widmore versus Ben, but we still have this like elusive Jacob character, don't we?
Yes, we do.
So maybe he has something to do with the war. I guess we're going to have to wait to the end of season 5 to find that out. Because next week it is going to be Valentine's Day, February 14th. And we're back with, oh my goodness, a very romantic episode. It's called Le Fleur. It's a Sawyer episode. And you know him. You love him. You're glad that he's back. It's going to be a Dave episode. We're happy about that. Join all 5 of us next week. We find out where the other survivors landed in time and get a love story for the ages, like one you haven't seen since Desmond and Penny. I'm so excited for this episode. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Lost in My 40s is a Space Bear Media production. Executive produced and edited by me, Lacey J. Sound engineering, editing, and original music by Benjamin Trimp. Like and follow Lost in My 40s on Facebook and SpaceBear_media on Instagram and Threads. Plus, follow Space Bear Media on YouTube for extra video content. Or for everything in one place, go to spacebearmedia.com.